death,
this
disease.
David and I were saying that a good expansion, a good way to describe or categorize an expansion as a good expansion is one that enhances the game such that you don't want to play it without the expansion ever again. It like adheres itself to the base game and enhances it. And at the end of the day, Shadowhunters expansion does that very thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just because it's filling in a weakness in the base game,
Exactly.
right? But On the Brink takes Pandemic, which is a good game already, and really, talk about kicking it up a notch. Thanks for that, Emerald. Like, now it's like 4 different games. Once you play, you can play base, you can play Virulent Strain, Mutagen, Bioterrorist, all these new guys. Like, it's a much more versatile game now.
Yes.
And so, any boredom that might have come just from like, okay, I don't feel like playing with 10 epidemics in here, same thing. Now shit gets crazy.
It does.
Yeah.
I agree. That's a good way to categorize what makes a good expansion. I would say that, like you were saying with Shadowhunters, it should be that you can play the base game without feeling like it's empty, but you still want to play the expansion because
it makes it that much nicer,
that much richer of an experience. Because like Shadowhunters, it feels like that expansion should already be in the game.
Right.
Like you said, it's filling a void or a weakness in Shadowhunters. I don't feel that way about Pandemic, even though it adds a whole bunch of more stuff. I don't feel like that stuff needs to be in Pandemic.
Right. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, finally now we get to see something that we were missing.
Yeah, I didn't feel like we should have had more class cards or anything like that. Whatever you call
Footwear,
rolls.
footgear.
It didn't need more rolls. It didn't need more action cards. But it did, and they're nice.
Yeah.
They're very fun to play with.
I like the containers.
I love the
Containers are
containers.
really nice.
They were probably my biggest selling point for buying it.
Really made a difference.
I was like, I would love little containers to hold my little cubes in.
And your people.
And my people.
They went with smaller people, which
We're talking about the Petri dish.
We are.
Yeah.
It's true. It's a big deal.
And they're Petri dishes.
It's
This
clever.
with the
It's
theme.
clever.
Very nice. A+ decision on their half.
I think it's, as far as expansions go, like, by itself, like not rating the entire game, the expansion,
The whole package,
but just saying what this did to this and how much it brought. Like, okay, it's not the cheapest of all things, but it's really
$20.
Yeah. I mean, for what you get, it's a damn good deal. And I don't know how they could do Pandemic like the way that Underworld did like a second game. It wouldn't really work for Pandemic.
Because you're using the world.
Same thing, yeah.
You could do like themed Pandemic, like you could use a fantasy world like Middle Earth or something.
A different time period.
Yeah, that's true.
Sure. Yeah. Space Pandemic would be fine. Yeah. Or, Game of Thrones era.
Yeah, Westeros.
Sure.
Westeros is a different world.
Done. But, like, really, how do you take Pandemic, the game, and do something else with it? This was brilliant. I wouldn't have thought of these things. It was unexpected and surprising. And as an expansion, as far as expansions go, I would give it a 5.
I agree. It's one of the best expansions played.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that, like, Cities and Nights, I'll say the same thing. Because it really takes the game to a whole new, better level. More exciting. But, like, some of the stuff, like, from Small World, it's good. I like it. Makes the game a little better. But it's not like, wow, damn.
Yeah.
I paid for 1.5 games, and I got 3. That's how I feel.
That's true.
Yeah. So, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I like it.
They're all pretty good. We haven't played the Bioterrorist yet, but hopefully by the time we get to this, we'll get to it. And maybe we can say something about it then.
Probably.
But the Virulent Strain, it's a good one. It gives a little twist to the...
It's the most subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess.
The mutagen's really the purple cubes. I like that.
Yeah, the purple cubes are
It's
nice,
really...
and there's less of them, and they pop up all over the place to kind of sneak up on you. I would say that one's a little bit more subtle than Virulent Strain. Because the Virulent Strain, it seems like it's the same thing. No, you're not. It's a whole different epidemic, so when you play it, and sometimes there are ongoing effects.
Yeah,
and they really fuck you over, like... what's an example of one of them? I think there's one where if you have to place one cube, you have to place two from now on. And it's just crazy stuff. I think it can be the easiest because you could get it in a situation where like, oh, this doesn't really affect us that much. But at the same time, it could be very difficult if you're getting a whole bunch of stacks of ongoing events because they're random, which ones you play with. So it can be either a lighter addition to the game or it can be a heavier one depending on how your drawing goes, I guess.
Right.
And how hefty that game is going to be is dependent on which rolls you got, which special events you got, where the cards are in the deck, if you properly shuffled things, because if you don't, then you're fucked.
Gotta shuffle things right.
Probably.
Because you're gonna be fucked.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I think we're good on the Brink. I think it's quality. There's not too much to discuss about it. Because, it's an expansion.